So we are going to be recording this. In my favorite YouTube channel. I don't know what it is, but this whoever's going to put it on there. So we're actually going to start the video right now. Hi everybody that's online. Everyone say hi. Hi. So I want to thank you guys for coming. I'm going to try to talk as loud as possible so that we get it recorded. Ms. Rogers did ask me to say a couple things. If you happen to have any food for the gym area, it either needs to be put away or if you make a mess, please clean it up so that they can have class in here. We're also going to ask all the students to stay here with us instead of roaming the building because our night janitor is doing a great job of getting everything clean for the morning. And when we leave, we want to make sure they go with you. Just like when you drop them off at school, we want to make sure they go with us. So we'll take care of those. I'm Mr. Clark. Most everyone knows who I am. If not, the students know who I am. Because a lot of them come up and say, hi, Mr. Clark, and I have no idea who they are. I just say, how's it going, buddy? So I get to talk to you about Forest Glen. It is our 5th grade trip. It is 3 days and 2 nights. You guys have helped us out tremendously by going ahead and getting all the paperwork filled out, which means we don't have to send any other paperwork home to be filled out unless it was missed the first time. That's going to help us get things organized, make sure Ms. Champion, our nurse, has what she needs, as well as allow us to get some things planned for the adults that are going as chaperones to give them information before we go. So with Forest Glen, we do take all 5th graders. It is 5th graders only. All the chaperones that are going have to have a background check, which we are waiting because the person was out sick. So we've got a couple of approvals coming. We'll let the chaperones know those. We will end up having a chaperone meeting, which we'll start publicizing after this meeting on April 16th. That way we can give the chaperones, hey, here's information about the camp. Here's how to get here. Here is the groups and cabin groups to help us once we get there to get off the buses and where we need to be. Forest Glen has actually been a tradition here at ACA. We've been going to Forest Glen at least 14 years that I'm aware of, possibly 15 years, so it's one we've got a good relationship with camp. When we get down there, they provide us with outdoor science activities, everything from looking at an ecosystem, looking at predator and prey. They may look at an owl pellet. We also go into canoeing, and they talk about force of motion in canoeing. They talk about force of motion in bows and arrows. They talk about making butter. They throw hatchets and talk about trees and tree shape. They look at plant identification and ecology. They also end up doing zip lining, which again, gravity, you drop and you go sliding, force of motion. The bigger the drop, the faster you go. So there's lots of activities for them to do when we're there. When we leave, we'll actually be leaving on Thursday the 24th at 7 o'clock. We'll actually meet at the church on Rush Creek at Green Oaks and Bowen. Wednesday. We will actually be sending information out closer to time of when and where. We'll put it online. We'll email it out. We will also be sending a flyer home with the students that will have those directions on where to drop off. For students that are riding with, or rewind, for students that have chaperones going, they will ride the bus down to camp. The chaperone will just keep their parent will keep all of their bedding, all of their personal items with you. That way you don't have to worry about putting them on a trailer or putting them on a bus. For students that can't talk today, for students that are going that a parent isn't going, we will actually be asking a few of the chaperones to help with trucks to get the stuff down. We've got a couple chaperones that are talking about helping with the trailer to carry some of the stuff down, and then we'll load that up and send it back up here to the school on Friday. And the last 5 years, we've gotten back no later than like 4:15, 4:30. So we'll come back to the school, we'll get dropped off. On our way back, we send out remind messages, just like on the way down. Hey, we're getting close to camp, we're about to not have cell service. We'll send you a remind when we leave camp. It is in the Sam Houston Forest. It's about 20 minutes east of Huntsville. 20-25 minutes east of Huntsville, and it has no cell reception. It is in the woods, tall pine trees, really quiet, really sky-filled. When we get down there, we get off the bus, get items dropped in cabins, they go to lunch, and then we start activities. Camp is outside the majority of the time or underneath covered pavilions. So they will be outside from the time we get there. They may go back to their cabin to change into their swimsuits, which we'll talk about that here in a second. And then they may change to go to dinner, but they won't be just sitting around not doing anything. There'll be games to play, activities to do. There'll be, the first night they'll have a night hike, some games, a nighttime snack, then they'll go to bed. Some of them may stay up, then they'll be really sleepy the next day. Breakfast for them, we actually don't have to be anywhere till 8 o'clock. So most of them are like, you mean I can sleep in until 7:45 or 7:55 and still make it to breakfast? Yes. So they'll do breakfast, and then again, all day Thursday they will be outside doing all of the activities. If they don't do the zip line and climbing tower or canoeing the first day, they'll do it the second day or the morning of the third day. The night of the third day, we actually have a campfire. During the campfire, each of the groups throughout the 2 days will have come up with a song or a skit or have approached a teacher to be like, hey, I need your help. Can you help me do something? And we'll always go, yes, you forgot a skit? I've got one for you. And they'll get up in front of everybody because part of English language arts is presenting. They'll present their song and skit, and then they get to go do s'mores as part of the thing. Dietary-wise, the dietary restrictions that you guys have shared with us, we are actually going to send it on to the camp. We actually already have asked for special marshmallows, special chocolate, special graham crackers to cover those things. That way every student gets to participate in that. Like I said, when we come back, if you happen to go as a chaperone, once all the activities are done, you'll get to check out, which we'll talk more about the chaperone meeting, and then the rest of us will come back on the bus. With the buses, we do stop at the Corsicana, actually it's the Navarro County Safety Center rest stop. It's not really secluded, but there's not a lot of people there, and it's a very easy off, very easy to the restroom, and very easy for an adult to stand in front of the junk food and the vending machines and go, sorry, you can't buy anything here, but you can buy something at camp. When we talk to the students about what to bring, we'll talk about the list, but we also talk about them choosing their groups. They will actually get to choose 3 friends. Parents can also email us and say, hey, I would highly suggest maybe not letting them choose this friend, because sometimes students choose certain friends. Sometimes their parents are like, maybe not, good fit. Or it's, hey, I know this person's going in as chaperone. Is there any way you could look at possibly having my child be with this parent? We take those requests. We do end up doing the groups, and we try to accommodate what we can. With their 3 friends, we're like, hey, we can always guarantee you one of the 3, but we'll try to make as much work. So choosing groups, doing those things. On the what to bring list, we'll actually be talking to them about having a day bag. Because we may end up going to lunch when we get down there, we ask that they have a small drawstring bag, a little cheap drawstring that if it gets dirty, it gets lost, or it gets torn up. It's not out a lot. In there, we're going to ask them to put a hat, put sunscreen, sunglasses, an actual camera, or if it's, hey, I've got a little GoPro, it does video, it takes pictures, we're okay with that. But cell phones, because it's a school function for students, is a complete no-go. They're not supposed to have them, not use them, as well as a pencil or pen. That way they can actually do the assignment, because each of the activities they go to, they actually have some documentation that they have to write down what they learned, what do they know, how does it relate to school, that they will end up turning into us so that we can take a grade for them being there. I've had them turned in, covered in mud, soaked in water. I had one in a Ziploc bag last year because it was in poison ivy. They thought it was poison ivy. It wasn't. We just sealed it and said, okay. I've had it come back where I couldn't even open the pages, but it was the student kept up with it, even though it's completely damaged, because we end up giving it back to them when we get here for them to hold on to it as like a keepsake. We also recommend a light jacket. They do have souvenirs, a little piece with shirts. Their shirts run, they have little bears, little stuffed animals, no more than like $30, $40. A lot of times what the kids get is under 20. If you want to do that. They do sell candy, but we're like, hey, just give our kids one thing of candy, because one thing of candy when you haven't had sugar for 3 days, they think, hey, I can behave. No, sugar does not make you crazy. Your choice makes you crazy at the moment. But also being tired. Right now with chaperones and grouping, we actually have about a 1 to 3 ratio of adults going, not counting the staff members that are going, as well as administration that's going, as well as Miss Champion that's going. So we have tons of adults. With the groups, they'll be stationed. We'll ask the parents to stay with the groups so we know where they are. If there's an issue, we've got radios for all the staff. All their staff has radios. If they need one of us, they can get a hold of us, and one of us should be there in about 5 minutes because the camp is spread out. Another key to look at is bedding. It is bunkhouse style, so they have like foam mattresses that are like this big. An old sheet that they can just drape over it, or a blanket works well. You don't have to go out and buy a brand new sleeping bag. Sleeping bags are good, but having a sheet and blanket, they do have air conditioning. April might be a little cold, but having an extra blanket to cover up always helps too, because they set the air, and if you have the outdoor cabins, it's kind of like going to the hotel where you may move the thermostat, but the temperature doesn't change. So that always helps. So just an old sheet, a couple blankets that can be rolled up, put in a bag works. Personal hygiene, having them bring it, can't guarantee they'll all use it, but at least all of them will be in some form of water at some point in time, because they'll probably get in the pond or tip the canoe, which means the trash bags at the very bottom of the list are going to be important. Shoes, they have to have closed-toe shoes. If they're moving around throughout the activities, they're going to be required, just like the parents are going to be required to have closed-toe shoes. It protects from tripping, it protects from insects, it protects from anything else. It does say flip-flops. Flip-flops in the pool area. The pool area is pretty clean, but in the shower they may find, hey, wearing flip-flops in the shower because they are camp showers. Sometimes it's concrete bottom, sometimes it's an old plastic bottom. They do a great job of sterilizing, but just the thought of, this is camp, and this is a building that doesn't have the insulation and ceiling that my home does. Dust will build up and can be a little gross. Luckily, we haven't had to worry about crickets in April. They will get dirty, so when it comes to clothing, things that aren't their brand new Jordan shoes. That was the first year that it was a mud pit, and literally he walked straight through it in 5 minutes. Uniform shirt, field day shirt on the way down, appropriate length shorts are okay, jeans are okay, athletic shorts are okay, but it's the appropriate length field day shirt on the way down. Once we're down there, as long as it's an appropriate shirt, when we're moving around, because we are outside and it's got the sleeves like school appropriate, the kids are welcome to wear those extra t-shirts, those athletic things, because they are going to be moving around, they're going to be running around, they're going to be in harnesses if they're doing zip line and those things. 2 towels are always recommended, 1 to shower, 1 to get in the pool, or 1 for day 1 in the pool, 1 for day 2 in the pool. As I said, they're going to get in water at some point in time. Chlorine is a cleaner. Swimsuit. They are encouraged to bring a swimsuit because they will have opportunity to get in the pool. They will have opportunity to get in the pond if they pass the swim test, where they jump in water over their head, swim from one end of the pool to the other. They give them a band. Then they can go do the blob, which they sit on the blob. Someone jumps on one end, they send them flying. It's always fun when the kid's in front of me. But swimsuit, the camp has asked for modesty both for the young ladies and the gentlemen. We're asking that they have some sort of t-shirt or some sort of shirt that's not see-through during that time. The other one that we also tell the kids is, you're closer to the equator, and we talk about directly overhead sunlight and being closer to the equator, and the fact you've not been outside in the sun since September, and you might get a sunburn is a possibility. So we're like, hey, go ahead and just wear a shirt. That solves all the problems, and we don't have to be like, well, they get, no. Everyone's going to have a shirt. We're even going to ask the adults, hey, let's do this to set the example for the students. The trash bags about the wet and muddy clothing. That also helps if your student can't pack their bedding roll back up into what they brought it in. They can just stuff it in a trash bag and tie it off, and they know which one's theirs. Or we get here to school and just rip it open and be like, hey, look, dirty socks. That's one we found that works really well. Another one, if it's forecasted to rain, because we are outside, rain poncho or rain jacket, although I tell them if it's 80 degrees and raining, I'd rather be wet from the rain than sweaty. But they'll get wet, they'll get soaked. Having those trash bags will help. If it is forecasted to rain, a Ziploc bag for your kid, or if you're a chaperone with dry socks in the car, helps make the trip back much more enjoyable. So we'll be telling the kids, hey, if it's forecasted to rain, put a couple socks in the Ziploc bag, don't use them, but when you get on the bus to come home, take your wet shoes off, put the socks on so that you have dry feet, because cold feet on a bus makes for a miserable ride. Of course, they'll fall asleep because that's what happens every year. The no MP3 players, no things, like we said, they're going to be busy the entire time. They're going to have stuff to do, those things. If they're on the bus, they say, I'm bored, great, take a nap. If you ask me, are we there yet? I'm like, I don't know. Have you seen the sign that we drive under that says Forest Glen? When you see that, you know we're there. You'll know when I get there. If it's not permitted at school, it will be confiscated. We have admin going. For those pieces, we don't have to worry about talking about behavior issues and what might happen, because it's not going to happen. So it's one, if something does happen, admin may call. We've reached out, hey, this went on, touch base with folks. There is a note down here, the contact information for the camp. It gives their website and the camp's office phone number. During the school day, you can also call up to the school and they can work on getting a message. The camp does really good about, hey, here's the one place that you can have cell service, or giving us permission into their offices and cabins to call out. We may or may not, and some of the parents may or may not be able to get cell service standing on the edge of the pond with their phone like this. It's kind of interesting. A couple of them went up on the zip tower and were like, hey, I got service. But it's one of those, we're going to try to be disconnected from technology for the 3 days. The other piece that we need to talk about, you guys noticed in the paperwork, was medications. Nurse Champion is going for medications. All medications, because it is a school function, have to be administered by her. Whether the parent's a chaperone or not, we have to know. Matter of fact, by state law, we have to know who's getting what, what's going on. Last year we had a couple parents come, hey, here's my kid. Nurse Champion will give them the medication, the parent administered. Even if it's like Benadryl or those things, we have to have approval through us, and she has to administer it. Even an antibiotic appointment is one that she has to do. So with like Band-Aids and stuff, if it's where a kid gets cut, we'll have Band-Aids and stuff with each group. But if it's one, hey, they really need this, they'll go to Nurse Champion. And again, she's like 5 minutes away from where all the groups are. If it's a daily medication that they take, we've asked to have that, if it can be given to Nurse Champion before we go. Pharmacies will give you an extra container, or even like an old container with a current prescription with just the amount of dosage that the child needs. That way she has just what's needed while on the trip, so she can organize and make sure she has the list of everyone that needs it. I know we had talked about the Thursday before, because it's Friday we're out of school. I think Monday we're out of school too. We're not out of school? The Monday after Easter? No, we're not. Okay. I'm out of school. No. I'm already thinking this 4-day weekend. I'm projecting 4-day weekend. So by that Monday before we go, if she can have those medicines, that would help her with organization. If it's one, hey, this is a really expensive prescription, we just got it, we can't get another. It's one with any of those medication things, please talk to Nurse Champion. That way she knows and she can work out something with you. He had one student where it was very special medicine. They only had a set amount. They had to give it the night before. They literally came with a Ziploc bag and said, went straight to the nurse and said, hey, here's all my medicine. but it was pre-arranged. That way she knew it was coming. We have had students show up and be like, hey, here's my ibuprofen. Your parent's not even here. No, you can't. It's got to go through the nurse. So covered that, covered food, covered program, covered activities, covered adults. General questions, and if you have a specific for your child question, feel free to ask us or email us, and we can answer individual specific for child questions, but any general questions? Yes, we've got receipt books.
Will you repeat the question so everybody can hear?
So, asked about taking payments tonight. If you do have a payment, we do have receipt books. I've got one, and we've got a couple other teachers around that we can get receipts for you tonight on payments. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So no self-service.
Yep.
Are there any landlines available? And
The camp office has a landline. There's also an emergency landline in the dining hall area, but then there's also a staff member on duty that has a spot that we can go check in with them if we need to call out an emergency. But then it's also one, like I said, the camp does have a spot that has a hot spot that they've shared with us where, hey, I need to make a couple cell phone calls, but it's one that if you get more than 2 phones on it or 2 computers on it, it crashes. So there is ways to call out, but only in select locations within the camp.
how many kids do you think are going?
All of them, hopefully. As of right now, we have 178. No, 168 of the 178.
How many kids per cabin?
Depends on the cabins. The way the cabins are designed, they weren't built uniformly. They were built in stages. It can range between 6 kids in a room to the boys' cabin. The way it's designed is there's 20 beds. I mean, come on, boys. They're around the walls, and there's literally like 3 showers, 3 stalls, and 2 sinks. As I said, they'll get in the water at some point in time. I just kind of pull my nose and stand at a distance. So it depends on what the cabin is. Most of the day groups will be between 16 and 20 kids for the activities. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I've actually gotten the answer to this, but I just want to verify. I'm wanting to chaperone for my son, so obviously I will be with the girls at night in the cabin, but would I still be able to be like the chaperone of the group?
The plan is during the day is if you're opposite gender of your child, you'll have a night cabin that you'll be with, and then you'll be with them during the day.
Okay.
So yes.
Are the chaperones running the activities? Or
The camp has staff that will run the activities. You're there to kind of help facilitate. The chaperones will also give you some information to help facilitate the conversation, where if it's one staff member with 20 kids, it might be a little off task. So we're going to give that information to the parents to help kind of generate the conversation, but you won't have to run it. Any other questions?
Is it okay if we have extra snacks, extra water?
It is in the woods. The camp has actually asked no food in the cabins because the ants, the moment they smell it, will go into it. Water, and there will be snacks throughout the day. There will also be water jugs for them to refill. We've had a couple parents bring cases of water because 5th graders and water bottles kind of disappear like homework. So having a couple extra cases is always going to be handy on that part too. Yes, sir.
Can we hear more about your chaperone or not a chaperone?
We are getting all of the approvals back today. There were some sickness at the admin office. That email should be coming out this week. I know the ones that I had already received approval for, we reached out to. We're going to reach out to the rest of them in the next 2 or 3 days.
Is there going to be another chaperone this day?
Yep. Next chaperone only meeting will be April 16th. So the week before we go. And it's also one we're going to try to put that out there where if people can't make it, we'll try to schedule times to talk real quick that week or the week before. Any other questions?
Any fears? Any fears? No? It is a great opportunity. It is a legacy of ACA 5th grade. It's been around How long, Mr. Clark?
At least 14 years.
At least 14 years, and we still keep going back. I was able to go last year. It's a great experience. I think it's really a great experience. I grew up in a small rural town, so if your kiddo hasn't gotten outside of city limits or got to go camping or get dirty or just be sweaty, it's a new experience for them, and it's fun. You know, and then they come back exhausted. They appreciate coming home. You know, it's a really good experience, and it's a good kind of end of the year also for our fifth graders. It's a reward. But we like somebody asked a while ago how many people are going. We really want all 176 to go because it is an educational experience. And so I know in years past, you know, we put things in there about citizenship and about grades. If your kiddos are making efforts and if they are trying to make good choices, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them a chance to go because it's more of a positive experience for them to go than to be punished and held back. Okay, so we don't want to, you know, threaten anybody, or we don't want any, you know, fear that, oh, what if they don't get to go? But we want a little bit of healthy fear. We want you to be able to, you know, behave and act right and do what you're supposed to do while you're here. But our goal is to get everybody to go. Okay, it's a great experience, and I'm glad a lot of you are getting to go.
Like we said, if you have any individual questions, there will be a time for the students to ask questions the closer, because they'll ask now and then they'll ask again in a week and then they'll ask again in 3 weeks. If you do have any other questions, feel free to see me. I know Ms. Bryant does have a receipt book. Ms. Rogers can help. Ms. Robbins can help as well. We greatly appreciate you guys taking out your time, helping us, one, get all the paperwork in early, as well as coming and hearing about Forest Glen. So thanks for letting us take your kids. If you have questions, feel free to let us know. And if we could have a hand with putting the chairs on the rack back here, that would be awesome as well. Thank you.
If they don't have payments, the first one is due Friday.
Yep.
It's 45.
Sarah, due Friday.
Yep.